for coming here to our presentation, and I hope this is informative and helps you decide to work with us in the future. So as Rachel was saying, I'm an architect based in Lisbon, but I work all around Portugal. And our goal is to help you come install in yourselves here, invest. And my goal now is to explain how we work and give you examples of projects that we have been doing around Portugal. So in very different areas, but in more rural areas and not really centered in the biggest cities. So the first thing I would like to quickly explain to you is how we work. So either the architects or the engineers, we work together, and we work since the beginning, from the preliminary program and the draft project up to the licensing project, where we coordinate and submit everything to the city hall, to the government agencies, up to the point of execution, where we fine detail everything. We work with the clients, obviously, and then we start construction. We follow up weekly on the construction and up to the end, where we have a license of usage, which means that we have to give everything back to the city hall, all the drawings, all the documents, everything, and the city hall will finally, give you a document for the license of usage. It could be commercial, for housing, etc. So the process starts with the architect and finishes with the architects. Obviously, we deal with all the entities and multiple entities, from the city hall to others. So I would like to give you a big picture of the rural areas in Portugal. So actually, we have been seeing a lot of interest in these areas. As Rachel was saying, besides the big cities like Lisbon, Porto, and Faro. And this has a logic behind it. So we see that a lot of people are looking for secondary cities, rural and holiday areas. So basically we have advantages and differences with the city areas. So in terms of costs, what we can see very quickly is that the acquisition costs are lower than they are in the big cities like Lisbon or Porto. So obviously the city halls that work in the municipalities in these rural areas also have lower municipal taxes than in Lisbon or Porto. The construction cost, which is very linked to my work and to the engineers' work, is usually also lower because there's less work than in the big cities. So we have seen an average of 1,200 euros per square meter. And in Lisbon, we can already see 2,000, 2,500, etc. So there's a big difference of costs. In terms of advantages, we have a considerable demand for national and foreign investors, either small, big, medium, etc., for these places and for the products that we develop or that are being developed in these areas. But at the same time, there isn't enough product from the feedback we receive. There isn't enough product in these areas. So you don't really find apartments, buildings in these areas. So there's a lack of product at the moment. Another which could be an advantage for an investor, obviously. Another advantage that we see here in these areas is there are in general lack of limitations for AL. AL is what we call alojamento local, which is basically Airbnb, which in the big cities is very limited and tends to be even more limited in the future, will be more limited in the future. But in these smaller and less developed areas, there's still no limitations. Regarding the Golden Visa program, which is always very important for the people that come to our webinars, in these areas, it's still allowed and it's still ongoing, and not like it is at the moment in Lisbon and in Porto, where it finished. So in these areas, you still have this advantage from the Portuguese state. So I would like to show you more or less where these areas are. So obviously this is a map of central Portugal. Lisbon is located at the bottom. So here, Lisbon. And so these are different examples of areas, of areas where we have projects and where we have seen interest of investors and people that want also to reside or to have a house there. So around Lisbon, around an area by car, more an hour by car, we find a lot of different cities from, slightly small to medium cities or villages. We have Cascais, we have Mafra, Torres Vedras, Santarém, Peniche. These are all cities that have history, have heritage, have monuments. So they're quite interesting, and they're very close by to Lisbon. And they're linked, usually all of these cities are linked to Lisbon through a highway, trains. So they're very close by. So a lot of foreigners also choose these cities to come because they know that they can be quickly, they can go quickly to Lisbon. But all of these areas, in general, they already have hospitals. And so they're very well equipped shopping centers. So these are small cities, but they're quite nice to live in. In the Região Oeste, which is a little bit further north from Lisbon, I can show you examples of what we did. So this is, for example, a house we did for a French client that bought this plot that had a ruin, which we used to make the new house. And this house was rebuilt, and actually he sold it. So he sold it to someone else, and then they bought this plot in front that we also did this house for him. And this stayed their house, so they reside here, although they go to France often. But this house, he wanted it because it had a better view of the sea. And so he bought two plots. One of them he resold, and the other one he kept for himself. This is another house we are basically doing right now. So with a French investor that's buying small plots in this area, Torres Vedras, which is around 40 minutes from Lisbon. And we are doing several little houses with him. And these houses are towards the Portuguese public. So the idea is to have a very nice house, but not very costly, so that it actually sells very well. And there's a lot of people looking for houses at the moment. Because of COVID, people are tending to go out of the big cities and looking for houses that are close by with a garden area, swimming pool, but are actually close to Lisbon, for example, in this case. This is Santarém, which is a city more to the north, but it's also like an hour from Lisbon. And it has a lot of heritage, a lot of buildings from the 15th and the 16th century. And this is a rebuild of a building that is located in a very beautiful, very historical street. And we did rebuild this building in two apartments. It was a sort of small palace, simple but small palace, and we divided it in two apartments, and we used the attic to do a duplex in the last floor. So this also has been, it's still in the city hall, but a lot of people are looking at it, and the investor tells us that there's a lot of interest and a lot of people, there's some people doing offers already. So this was to the north of Lisbon. To the south of Lisbon, we have several projects also, and there's a big area in the center in between Alcácer and Grândola that you see here, which we call Alentejo, which is a very nice area, which is also very close by to Lisbon. And there's a lot of interest in this area for touristical and now for also housing projects. So we have several projects ongoing here. Achille also has a lot of clients that are interested here. And so this is a very trendy and very nice area. So I will try to show you the types of projects that we've been doing here. So this is a house we did for a French couple in Sesimbra, which is like half an hour from Lisbon. And they use the house for them, and they also rent out the house. In Alentejo, which is a little bit further south, we have several projects ongoing. Comporto is a very trendy and a very touristical place. All the coast area is quite trendy now, and there's a lot of interest in this area. But the interior part of the Alentejo, I think, is really where the future is, because there are very beautiful cities and villages, a lot of heritage, very good food. So It's a really nice area. It's very close by to Lisbon, and there you have also some big cities in Alentejo. Évora, for example, is very famous and historical. So there's a lot of interest in this area of Alcácer. So we have seen several, and I will show you several projects that I have ongoing. This is a farmhouse that we rebuilt for a French client that also rents it out for tourists in Alcácer. This is a building in Alcácer city center. So it's an historical building that's being rebuilt for a Dubai-based company that is investing quite a lot here in Alcácer. So this is the building. These are examples of the apartments that we are doing. This is another building in the city center, historical center of Alcácer. This used to be a factory, and it's now transformed into lofts and quite spacious apartments with patios and direct access to the street. This is another type of house, single house that we are doing for a French couple in Comporta, which is one of the very trendy, very next to the beach areas. This is in Melige, which is also already Grândola, so another area, but also has a lot of interest, especially for tourism purposes. And this is for a French client, and we are rebuilding 4 apartments plus 1 annex, a swimming pool, and a very nice garden in the historical center of Melige, which is a very, very tiny village, but very, very nice. This is a house for a Belgian couple that we are renovating apart and expanding in Carvalhal. So this is like 5 minutes walk from the beach. A lot of people want to have houses here, so it's a very beautiful area. And this is another farmhouse, but in the mountainous area of Melige, which obviously the mountains are quite small, but it's still mountainous in a way. In the Algarve, which is the more traditional Portuguese market for tourism, we have had some projects there for French clients that retired from France and came to Portugal to reside. And so we did a house in Lolé, which is a very beautiful interior city. So it's not crazy touristical in the seaside. It's more in the interior. It's a very beautiful city. And this one is in Tavira, which is also very nice and very pleasant and calm city. It's still a touristical area next to the beach, but it's a lot calmer because it's more to the side of Spain and not the other side of Algarve, which is more touristical. So these are just examples of the types of projects we have been doing in these rural areas that go from small houses, individual houses, to small buildings, bigger buildings. It depends on the objectives. It depends on what the client really wants. If it's investment or just a house to reside, a house to resell, or a house to rent out. So it just depends. But there are a lot of opportunities in these areas. So I think this area, the rural areas of Portugal, are really open for the future. And I tried to give you a small list of opportunities, like we have a reduced VAT for existing construction and reconstruction of buildings in all of the historical areas. So that is a given already. We have been discussing there's a big discussion about the reduced VAT rate also for new construction. So we have a new government, so let's see how it goes. And we also have the possibility of reduced VAT for the project itself, so for the architects, for the engineers. In terms of administrative processes, there has been a lot of progress, and through the COVID era, we have had a simplification and a digital, all the processes are becoming digital. So everything is submitted through platforms. So it's a lot easier and more straightforward and goes faster. So this has been a nice, a nice side of what has happened. We have a lot of incentives here in Portugal, especially regarding these rural areas where the state, the government wants to bring in investments. So between all the programs available between the Portuguese state and then the more local entities like city halls or even smaller governments programs. We have a lot of aids for investment. As I said previously, the Golden Visa is still active in these areas, in these rural and interior areas, which is very interesting for people that are abroad. And obviously, as I referred also previously, the legislation, there's no really, not a lot of limitations regarding Airbnb. If you wish to invest in this type of opportunities to build and rent out either apartments or houses. So I think, yeah, I think I tried
Miguel,
yeah.
In the meantime, there are a few questions that came.
Okay.
So there is a lady that asked if we recommend renovation or buying a new construction project, and what are the main differences. You know, I know the answers, but I will leave it up to you to answer her.
Okay. So for us, we do in the big cities or in the rural areas, we have all different types of projects. So we do rebuilds or new from scratch. Sometimes it's a mix of both. For example, in the one I showed you in the city historical center of Malich, one of the buildings was, we kept the original structure. The other one we have to rebuild it, but it was made to look as original. So it really depends on the state of the building and how it is. We have to adapt our project to the objectives of the client and to the budget. So it really depends. It doesn't really matter if it's new or rebuilt. In the end, you will have a new house, completely redone, rebuilt, and up to the standards. So that's the main point.
Don't you think, financially speaking, it's more advantageous to buy a project and completely renovate it?
Well, it really depends of the types of projects. For example, the projects I've presented, even though some of them had the buildings already exist and are in the center of Alcácer, for example, they are not up to the standards right now. So we have to rebuild them and make them completely new. So obviously, if you buy a product that's already finished, that will be better for Achille because it's a straightforward sell of an apartment or a building that exists and it's redone. But you know, in terms of project and in terms of adapting the project to the client's needs, I think rebuilding or renovating or adapting a little bit is better for the client. It also depends on the time frame that the client has. How long he has to invest, what he wants to do. It really depends. What I can say is that working with Achille, we try to find the best product for the client. Either it's a completely rebuilt already, new, old. So the point is to find a nice product since the beginning and then work to have the final goal of the client, I think. So I think both.
Okay, there is another question coming here. So from your experience, so how long renovated assets remain in the market in rural areas, as these are not prime locations?
Well, that's really, I think Achille would want to answer that. But from my experience, from my projects, and from what I've seen that my investors are saying, is that people are really looking for these products. For example, the ones in Santarém, they're almost sold and they're still ongoing at the city hall. So people are looking for these buildings, these houses, and they really want them. So they almost buy them in plan. So they tend to go quite quickly because obviously they're rural, but there are a lot of interest in these areas right now. So they tend to go quickly. But I think Achille will add a lot more to that part.
I mean, thank you. But I think you are right, Miguel, but everything depends also on the location. I had this huge investor last year who was looking to invest in the eco project. So basically he was looking to build more than 35 houses on 49 acres. And we went to the city hall to get the approbation for the construction, and we get it like in 3 months. But it's in Malich. But in Lisbon, I think we cannot get it like in 3 months, maybe in 1 year or maybe 1 year and a half. So everything depends on the location where the person wants to buy or to invest. Just to jump again on the Magali question, I think everything depends on the time frame that she wants. If she wants to buy something like for now, which is already built, if she tell me, actually, I want to invest in Lisbon, I will definitely say, yeah, if you don't have time and you don't have time to manage with the construction and thing, I would say go with something that is new, built new, so you won't have any issue or any problems in the future.
Okay, so I will answer, we will try to answer one question and then we'll carry on with your presentation, Achille, to respect, everyone's time. So David is asking a question about all the homes that need energy improvements, such as windows, doors, central heating, and so on. Is that a cost-effective route? I assume this is an answer. This is a question for you, Miguel.
So the question. So regarding when we rebuild buildings, the legislation obliges that they are better than they were previously in terms of energy efficiency. And actually, when you buy a property, and if the project, and it should, makes the building better in terms of efficiency, energy efficiency, thermal, acoustic, and energy, than it was previously, you are entitled to have your taxes lowered, or sometimes they give back a piece of the amount that you paid in the beginning for the EME and EMT. So that depends on the type of project that has been approved, but also we have to ask for the City Hall to come and visit the building in the beginning, and then at the end to have this tax cut. When we build from scratch, like a new construction, the legislation is quite demanding. So we have to work with the engineers and come up with all the solutions that make the house efficient in terms of ventilation, lighting, energy, water, sewage. So all of these properties are included in the project, and we have to submit a certificate of energy that goes from A to D, for example, and then the construction has to follow up on those points. And the city halls and the Portuguese state is quite they want all the projects to be very efficient. In the rehabilitation projects that we have, there are some programs where this Portuguese state gives back money for people that obviously they have to there's a program and people have to follow it, but they will give you back your money regarding installation of new windows that are more efficient than the ones that there were previously, or installation of the facades. So we have several ongoing programs for everyone actually to equip their houses better and to have more efficiency.
Okay, all right. So I think you covered the question. Achille, would you like to start your presentation, and then afterwards, I'm sure that following your presentation there will be more questions, and then we will address them.
Yes, for sure. So I'm going to start.
I think that Miguel has to stop sharing his screen so that you can you can use yours. Yes, that's right.
Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
So I mean, everyone already know me. So I'm specialized in the residential and commercial property. And let me just here. So basically, here on your right side, you will have the Portugal map with all the interior places. So Évora, Coimbra, basically the rural area of Coimbra, Braga, Aveiro, Leiria, and also Évora. So as I mentioned in my introduction, for people who are thinking about investing here in Portugal and are thinking to get more yield, for example, for the investment, what we are looking for at the moment, and we don't have in our stock, this certain housing. We have a lot of students looking for places to stay here in Portugal most of the time, even in the big cities, and we don't have anything to present to them. And which is also good to get here in Portugal with a great yield is we have so many buildings, old buildings in the main cities as well. So you can just build that buildings and rent it. Not build to sell, but build to rent. It's a great business. In this map, you can have all the prices, so the median price per square meter in some cities in Portugal. It's also good to know that you can see, for example, in Braga, which is in the north of Portugal, the price per square meter is 1,067. But this price is a bit like tricky because if you go on some places in Braga for renovated houses, maybe it will be different. The price will be different, like Lisbon, Porto, Coimbra. So everything here is really median. That is a good base to do. Here I want to show you a beautiful house that we have in Castelo Branco, which is in the north of Portugal. This house was already renovated and it's a German. Let me see if I can go here with the presentation. I'll show you the pictures. So this house was renovated last year. Actually, it's on the market for sale, but meanwhile, it's also for Airbnb, and it has 87% of occupancy because it's located in a beautiful place with nature nearby. It has a view on the mountain, and people want to go there just to meditate or to retire for some days. So it can be a great investment or a great place to stay for those who are looking to retire in a beautiful village in Portugal. I have this second house also that I want to present to you, but this one is in the south of Portugal. I hope you can have. It's not working. I don't know why.
It is working, but actually it's very slow. That's the problem, Achille.
Ah, okay.
For me, it's normal. I can see it normal.
Yes, so just to come back again here, we have also this beautiful house, which is located in the south of Portugal. It's in Comporta. This house can be a great opportunity for those who are thinking about moving to Portugal or want to invest in Portugal. Comporta is known to be really warm during the summer, and also during the winter it's more warmer than maybe Lisbon or Porto. So also this is a great place. And what is good here is the price per square meter, which is not so expensive at other places. So this one, for example, for 1+1 bedroom, you can get it for 87K, which is good. And almost no renovation needed in this house. We have another one, which is here in Guarda. It's located in the north of Portugal. This house also is actually on the market for Airbnb. 3+1 bedroom, 2 bathroom, no renovation needed, and it's only for 192K. And it was built also in 2007. So it's really a great house. And I think I have this on video so you can have an idea of how the house